Well, hey, good Thursday evening to you folks. It's good to see you, and it's good to be seen by you. And the person doing the seeing and the being glad is, of course, me, Bill Sylvie, a.k.a. the Dungeon Delver. Welcome to the program. I'm glad you're here, and I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful evening. Because I am. Adam France, you're up, my friend. You're up. Death Angels, you got to watch out, man. Those licks from our friends over at Bards of Greyhawk are they're mellow, but they're strong, you know. But anyway, welcome everybody to the show. Welcome to the live stream, and we have a great stream in store for you guys tonight. Aggie from RPG Stories from Brave Alice is going to be right here in our studio in just a couple of minutes talking about some super cool stuff that they've got in the pipeline for you guys, and we're gonna share that with you. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, tonight is your chance to win some of that cool stuff. Who'll win? Only the dice know, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I do want to remind you folks, of course, that tonight's stream is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures they'd like to play, whether it's for Castles and Crusades, for 5th edition, or the OSR. Old School is in play at the table with Hellebarde Games, and you can find them at Drive-Thru RPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com. We do love us some Hellebarde Games around here. So please check them out. And if you're just stopping by, if you're one of the many people to subscribe lately, thank you so much. This is just part of what I do. Live stream about tabletop RPGs. We have awesome guests on the show. We talk classic D&D. We talk cool stuff that works for all systems. It's just kind of the cool thing. But if you haven't subscribed yet, do please click that subscribe button. Click the bell icon for notifications. Give the video a thumbs up if you like what you see, and leave me a comment down below and tell me what you liked about it. And I'll endeavor to do more of it. So tomorrow night we have some fun stuff in store for you guys. We'll have to see if we're going to be playing Gamma World tomorrow night, because I want the whole crowd here for the Gamma World game. You know how it is. Sometimes you get a game. If one person can't make it, whatever. The show must go on. Sometimes if you don't have a player there, you kind of want to hold off on that. This is sort of one of those times when we might want to hold off, and it's Vaughn's fault, by the way. If you're wondering who threw a monkey wrench into this, it's Vaughn. So complain at Vaughn. Ullagrans, hello, local Gumby, Adam Franz, good to see you. No, my day has been going all right, local. I hope yours gets better, my friend. I absolutely hope yours gets better. Here's something, though, that I think will help your day get better, and that's a good guest. So without further ado, everybody, let's welcome Aggie back to the show. He's been on before with Matt and Mythmere Games, so let's welcome him now with his solo album, I've Got Something Cool to Show You. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Aggie. Good evening, my friend, or morning, whatever it is, wherever you're at.
Hello. Well, actually, it's 12:15 a.m. So it's late.
That's not bad. It's not
that bad. Yeah, probably. If I wasn't here, I would be playing video games or whatever. So
there you go. For a young man like you, this is barely the start of the evening, right?
Yeah. It's really nice to be here, and thank you again for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Well, I'm glad you're here. So you have not rested on your laurels since we last talked. No, indeed. So let's talk about these projects you've got in the pipeline now. Here, where do you want to start? you are the Guardo Camino. You are the road guard. Tell us where to go.
All right. So here's the thing. As we already discussed in the previous interview with Matt Finch, which was wonderful, by the way.
Matt's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. We came with Matt to talk about Fantasy Adventure Builder, and you were kind enough to ask me what our team is doing, what our company is doing. So let's call it our flagship. It's a VTT called RPG Stories.
Okay.
And this is what we've been working on for the past 2 years. It was a long journey to here, but yeah, we are out 6 months now. Everything is good. And if I had to describe RPG Stories in one small paragraph, basically RPG Stories is a 3D virtual tabletop which features a massive world builder where you are able to build almost any kind of indoors or outdoors environment for D&D like games, high fantasy, let's say, modern horror, and sci-fi. So we offer the whole package. And then you can invite your friends and play online instead of going to another victim. We launched a Kickstarter campaign back like 1.5 years ago. It went fantastic. We delivered on time, and we are really happy about it. So now what we're trying to do is we want to demonstrate what RPG Stories can do. And since it's a 3D virtual tabletop and a 3D world builder, we want to show to people how easy it is to build and how fast you can build your scenes, because we have a lot of auto ways to do it. And basically, we are going to launch a Kickstarter campaign by the end of November where we are giving away 101 battle maps in 2D. Basically, we build everything in RPG Stories and we export in 2D so that people can see what our software can do, to also show that you can use it as a world builder and export in 2D and go play in another VTT. And we want to offer, obviously, our own ideas on how you can create awesome battle maps. So it will be a campaign where we will be giving, in a really low price, 101 battle maps for D&D games. So we are going to give the chance to the people to pledge for RPG Stories at a discount, although the product is already on Steam. And we are trying to bring more people in and to get them to meet us and our amazing community, because, to be honest, we are really, 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 really proud of our community. We have, I think, 2,000 people in our Discord server, which are all amazing and really kind with us. And they've been supporting us since the very beginning, and, they give us power to go on. So that's pretty much. It's all about the 101 battle maps campaign that is coming by the end of November. And I'm here to answer all your questions.
Okay, great. Well, let me share that with you. You guys can take a quick peek at this. Anon, you're actually hitting some very salient points, and I want to address some of those in just a minute. I'm not ignoring you or anyone else out there who has any questions. I'm kind of starring and marking your questions as we go here. But let's take a quick look at this. And do I have that in the buffer? Let's see. So you guys can check that out. Here it is. The 101 battle maps hasn't launched yet, but you guys can follow it. So yeah, it's just a very bare bones. But if you want to mark that and check that out. Now, as I understand it, and Aggie, please correct me if I'm wrong about this. Like, this is not restricted to in terms of like, well, you got to have the a virtual tabletop. A guy, or a gal, whichever, could take this and just print these out and just have them out on their table, right?
Yeah,
just use miniatures on them. So you don't.
What we're doing is that we are giving 101 battle maps in 2D files We're going to give them in JPEGs for VTTs, because usually VTTs don't want like heavy files, but also PNGs. So you can take them, play around the table, or play in another VTT or whatever. We just want to demonstrate what our product can do. And I want to make clear, because somebody asked me today, so all the models that we are using to build these scenes that we're going to give in 2D images, they're implemented in the software. We're not keeping anything to ourselves. So if you actually buy RPG Stories at the end of the day or later on, you will be able to find all these things and even more models by then to build your scenes. So the product, this campaign is about the 2D images. So anyone can, join in, take the maps, and enjoy themselves.
Right on. And I guess one of the nice things is if you get into Kickstarter and down the road, you find yourself a little bit of spending money, and you want to get in on the RPG Stories, you can take these maps and do more with them than what you just get in the battle map, right? You can modify them, stretch them out, make them bigger than they are, right?
Yeah. What we're going to do is that anyone who's going to pledge for the 2D files, for the 2D images and the battle maps, we are also going to send them the special RPG Stories file. So whenever they decide, if they decide to buy RPG Stories and use RPG Stories VTT, they will be able to open these battle maps in RPG Stories and play with these battle maps in RPG Stories, or continue building these scenes and make them bigger and more complex. But what we are doing right now, we are trying to approach these, and we create these maps for a 2D style. So, we want to create scenes that we know that DMs use whenever they have a battle or whenever they want to show a specific place of their campaign. And what we did basically is that we came up with 20 different environments, forests, ruins, cities, city walls, mines, caves, jungles, 20 different environments. And we created 5 maps per environment. So that makes 100. And the +1 map, which obviously it's a marketing trick, the +1 map will be a special map, which is going to be created by one random member of our community. So there is a fan who's going to build this.
Right on.
And we don't even know what it is yet, but it will be something really special and probably funny.
Well, you bring up something interesting, and before we do the deep dive in on the UI and how all this works, I do have kind of a sort of a throwback question, if you will, because when you had Matt on, we talked about with the great thing you guys have done with Matt, of course, you have the ability to share those notes, with other users. Hey, if you want to see my adventure notebook, here you go. Okay, and you sort of got a community thing. Is that going to be a feature in RPG Stories? Can I create
Yeah,
go ahead.
It is already. So
Great.
Overall, RPG Stories VTT is we like to call it the communities VTT. So whatever we do, we try to make the community involved. So the whole model we built from the very beginning was a great promise that we gave, that whoever backs us in our Kickstarter campaigns around RPG Stories, whomever becomes a Patreon or whatever, will get to vote for future features and future models that we implement in the system. So we always ask our community, and we try to get feedback all the time. That's like the way we work. So obviously, RPG Stories supports the Steam Workshop, which means that whatever you build, you can share it with the community, and you can upload to Steam Workshop, and anyone can download it. And it's pretty amazing. Later on, if we demonstrate the software, it's really nice because we allow people to combine models and group them together. So the community has created really nice things and really weird things. And we see a lot of people taking like famous adventures that Wizards of the Coast has created, and they try to build these scenes and give them away to the people. We delivered the multiplayer a week ago, so it was our final huge step, so that people can start playing online. So we are waiting to see amazing things in Steam Workshop because the community keeps creating things. So yeah, you can share pretty much everything. And another thing that we are proud of, and we are trying to explain that to people, is that whatever you create with RPG Stories is commercial free. So what we are doing right now, the fact that we use RPG Stories to create these 3D battle maps, which we export in 2D, and we're going to give them to the audience, anyone can do it. So you can take RPG Stories, build maps, and then sell them. Basically, our motto is that we sell the software, you sell the stories, everyone is happy. And it's been going great for us. I mean, we are really happy with the audience we have, with how the software progresses and the development. So yeah, this year will be a breakthrough. We'll see.
Right on. So I've actually got a couple of nuts and bolts questions, and folks are already lining up in the questions. So don't worry, we'll get to you folks who have questions. But it's my show, so I get to ask first. But anyway, so I've got a very nuts and bolts question because this is very pertinent to me now. Like, I asked, hey, can you print these battle mats out and put them on your table? And I mean, that DMs love having convenient stuff like that they can use. But the question I'm going to ask you is, what 3D model format are your assets using? And can I export or extract those to 3D print?
Okay, that's a question that we get a lot, like almost every day. It's my community manager answers this question probably every week. So here's the thing: when it comes to game development, because obviously a VTT is a game, you treat it as you develop it as a video game. So right. When you implement a 3D model in a video game, you need this 3D model to be really, really light, because otherwise all PCs will crash. And we didn't want to create a really high-end a product for high-end PCs. We wanted to, everyone to be able to use it, because we understand that the dungeon masters, the GMs around the world, probably they use pretty good PCs, but the players that are playing with these GMs usually have like an old laptop or an older PC or a Mac. So
very true.
We created a software for medium specs PCs. So what we do, like in all video games, we take the models, tone them down, and we add them in the software, which means that if you go to print them, they won't print pretty well, obviously. So, okay. But after so many requests for STLs, because we understand that I've never had a 3D printer. I'm now thinking about it. But we see that people really want that. So we want slowly to start recreating some models for STL files.
Yay!
The difference is it's really, really big, and in triangles in the 3D model. So it needs a lot of work to be done. We are thinking of creating collections and give them away. We've also, I want to mention that we've tried to print some models. Some of them are pretty okay, but others are not. But we think that this is a great opportunity because we have now in the software more than 5,000 models, and 4,000 of them are actually props, rocks, walls, tables, props that usually people don't have on their tables, because everyone is buying the miniatures for the characters or the monsters. But creating a huge collection of STLs, it's in our plans, but it takes time.
Okay, well, I am excited about that. I really like that. Now, going all the way back to like the late '90s, I'm a terrain on tabletop guy, and I mean, like you can look at Dragon magazine from like the '70s, and there were companies selling miniature dungeon terrain of that kind. Usually back then, it was made out of lead, so you know we were a dumb generation back then, Aggie. We played with lead toys. But
to be fair, let me show you this wonderful table I have here. It's
okay.
for painting. So I'm painting my own minis. I totally understand it. I'm not good at it. I have to admit that I'm not good at it, but it's so relaxing. I mean, it helps a lot with my anxiety. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
You get it. All right. Well, we'll try and keep the questions anxiety free for you, Aggie. And I get that. That's not me poking fun. I completely understand where you're coming from. But that is fantastic news about the STLs. A lot of our I was just looking over, and the audience was several people in the audience asking about that. So I am definitely looking forward to that. And what you were saying earlier, just for our to enlighten our audience a bit, a model, a 3D model, and you can download 3D model viewers even if you have a not great PC and no 3D printer. You can download a 3D model viewer and then grab a model from anywhere that will let you download a free model, and you'll see what I'm talking about. 3D models are made of polygons. It's you know, and it can be just a multiple-sided thing. Like here's a D10. That's a polygon. And a really good-looking character model, like from a Marvel movie, like Iron Man in his armor is not a guy in a rubber suit. I mean, they might have one for close-up shots or something like that, but when he's off in the distance, that's CGI. That's computer-generated imagery, and for purposes of looking good on your multiplex, 150-foot wide screen, Iron Man is a model made out of tens of millions of polygons.
Yeah.
And you're not, and that looks really cool. And you think, hey, if I could shrink that down and print that out, that would be cool. Shrinking a thing down does not lower the polygon count, and that's what matters. Yeah. That's what matters to a PC, as far as how it processes.
And that's why nowadays the most expensive thing in your PC is the graphic card.
Yeah.
That's what we're paying for.
So, if you had a video, if you play a video game like the new Spider-Man video game, and you're like, wow, Miles Morales or Peter Parker, whoever, looks as good as they do on the screen. No, they don't. Trust me. Peter Parker on your video game screen he looks cool, but that's tens of thousands of polygons. On the movie screen, that's millions and millions of polygons.
Yeah, there's a huge difference. Yeah, and
there
is a huge
difference.
Yeah, it highly depends on your machine and where you're playing. If you're playing in a console or if you're playing in a PC, it's different. Yeah, that's true. So we deal with RPG Stories. We deal with 3D models every day. And it's tricky because sometimes you want to add a monster or a statue or a model that will look really cool, and then you understand that if the user copy paste this model 20 times, they will start having like performance issues. So you take and you lower the polygons, but yeah, it is what it is.
Exactly. And the fact that you guys are now working towards bringing that to a 3D print state, I'm excited about. And yay, that's very cool. That was like my big technical question, and I thought it would be yes or no. So I'm so glad that we were actually able to geek out about that a little bit. So
Yeah, happy to.
so let me see. We got a few questions over here. Well, I think this is a little broad, but hopefully you can answer this. Vaughn asks, "How is your VTT different from other VTTs?"
No, that's a wonderful question. I don't know how to answer this without. So we are trying. Let me tell a story first. So when we launched our Kickstarter campaign, there was out there only one 3D VTT, and that was Tailspire.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was like 2 years ago. It was the only other 3D VTT. So we launched our Kickstarter campaign, and we realized that 2 days after us, two more 3D VTTs launched. And yeah, it was difficult times back then, and people were asking again and again, what's so different about you, and what's so different about you. So we are really trying not to trash the competition and go out saying, oh, we are doing this, but they don't do that, and we are better just because of that or because of that feature. So before I answer the question, I want to make clear that I totally respect the competition out there. So when it comes to VTT in general,
wizards, we don't like wizards. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not talking about one D&D. So, and I can tell you my opinion about the upcoming VTT from Wizards of the Coast later on. So when it comes to other 2D VTTs like Roll20, and Foundry VTT. So the difference is that although we do not support all these massive rule sets where you can roll the dice and get all the book and all the results right away, we are going to do that, but later on, next year probably. We offer a new experience where the Dungeon Master can showcase all these things in a 3D environment. And basically, it's like literally playing on a table with all these miniatures that the Dungeon Master builds the environment, and the players can move the camera and actually see the whole environment. So that's the first thing. It's the 3D environment. So that's the first difference. The second difference is that when you are a game developer, because that's what we do, we were creating video games before this VTT, you know how to handle certain things. And since this is 2022, 2023, our VTT is new. So we've learned from the mistakes of all the previous companies, and we're trying to fix things and bring new experiences on how you roll the dice online, how the characters move. So for instance, all the other 3D VTTs are using miniatures. So you have your 3D miniature and you can move in the 3D space, the miniature. We have 3D models. So your character is actually a walkable 3D model that walks in the scene and can look around. So another big difference that we have from all other VTTs is that we equally support all tabletop RPG eras. So we are trying to equally support fantasy, modern, and sci-fi. I will be 100% honest. We weren't able so far to reach that sci-fi audience because we know there's sci-fi audience out there and it's huge. We can see it from other Kickstarter campaigns, and we can see how the Alien role-playing game is going and how Blade Runner is going, and they perform amazingly. We are trying to reach that audience, but yeah, D&D is the king, and that's that's the audience we have right now. But we can support all eras, and that's fun actually, because as you build a D&D scene, you can also bring sci-fi models in and make it weird and complicated. Another thing we support, which almost no other VTC has, is that we allow you to actually write your quest in the software. So as you build your scene, you can place quest notes, you can open your journal and write down the whole quest. And when you finish that, you can export that quest in a single file and share it with the community, or sell it, or do whatever you want. So in general, we offer an experience which is different from what's out there. And because our models and our 3D models are not cartoony, are more semi-realistic, so it kind of looks more realistic and more like a video game in the eye. But we allow several ways to play, so it can feel more old school, or more like for new audience that prefer the more video game style. That's it pretty much. And we listen to our audience. We really do. You can ask anyone. And we are really proud about it, because we've seen in other VTTs people having requests, or the devs giving promises that they don't deliver, or they don't deliver on time. We are trying to be 100% there. We reply right away in a Discord server, and so far we've managed to deliver exactly what was promised, actually more than what was promised. But yeah, we really love what we're doing, so we work really hard, and that's why I'm here in almost 1 a.m.
And one thing I can tell you guys out there in the audience, like if this is your first time where you've been here and Aggi's been here and he's talked about the stuff they've done, and I just, look, okay, this may sound a little shillish of me. It's not my intent. Guys, on this stream, they were adding features. Like literally the last time they were here, they were adding features. So when Aggie says they listen to the audience, we saw stuff being added.
We really do. We really care. I want to say something, because since the question was what's different, so I'm pretty sure that the most famous 3D map making program out there, it's Dungeon Alchemist. So, and I guess people who are seeing this, they are familiar with Dungeon Alchemist. Basically, RPG Stories is like Dungeon Alchemist, with a lot more models implemented in, and it allows you to connect and play, which Dungeon Alchemist is just a world builder. You cannot play, it's not a VTT. So what we wanted to do is get inspired by Dungeon Alchemist, bring more models and more eras, and also allow multi-playing and dice and character sheets and the full experience. So that's what we've been trying to do, and we are happy about it.
This is a pretty exciting looking thing here, and I know now I gotta speak to Munch here for a second. I know there's a tendency to look at computer software and want to throw it right out of the cave. We have fire and we have cave painting, and that's all we need, right? But honestly, stuff like this is really cool, and I mean, it takes a lot of it takes a lot of imagination and puts things to a visual medium that a lot of times we as players would like to see. And furthermore, and I know again, a lot of the grognards said, and I get it, I'm one of them. You tend to look at something like this and say, well, that must only be for X system, so therefore I don't like it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Aggie, but this is system agnostic. You can play original Dungeons and Dragons from 1974 with this, as well as 5e or anything in between.
Yeah, I want to say something, because it's really complicated. So one thing you listen from the community around D&D and around online VTTs and VTTs is the word rule sets. But I've come to understand that if you take every member of this huge community around D&D and ask them what is rule sets for you, you will take 5 million different answers.
Right.
So what people means with rule sets is basically what, let's say, what Roll20 is doing. So you have a character sheet which is 5th edition, and when you click on your character sheet where it says longsword, you can see the D20 roll, and you get a result. And then in the chat it says that the longsword is doing slashing damage, and you have this, and that according to the 5e rules. So the community implemented more rule sets in these VTTs. So Roll20, I think, supports also 2nd edition or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much what rule sets is: the ability to actually use and see and read the rules in the VTT without having to open your book, let's say, as you play online.
Right.
So the new OGL, when they introduced this new OGL, which eventually they took it back, had really strict rules around VTTs. So it was a really bad thing for everyone, but for VTTs it was even worse. Basically, they were trying to shut down every VTT out there because they were creating their own. So when we were creating RPG stories, we didn't implement any rule sets because we had this huge shadow of the new OGL, and we didn't know if we could actually do it because they were trying to forbid it. So we couldn't spend money and hours of development bringing rule sets in and character sheets. So what we did is that we built a design which we're going to implement later on in 2024 at some point, where we will allow people to actually build these rule sets by themselves. So we're pretty sure that the community will start building rule sets for 5th edition right away because it's the most famous edition right now. We wanna, so I may not look really old, but I'm 40 years old. So
you don't. You don't.
Yeah. So I still play 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. That's my favorite edition, and I don't think I will never change it. I've tried 5th edition. I cannot enjoy it that much. So for sure, at some point, we want, for our own sake, to implement old school D&D in it because we love it. I want to do it for myself, first of all. And if you remember, this is how we met Matt. Yeah. Because we wanted to ask some questions about the 1st edition and the laws and the copyrights, and for Swords and Wizardry, which is a product of Mithrin Games. So a friend introduced us to Matt, and we started chatting. Oh, sorry about that. We started talking about these things, and then the Fantasy Adventure Builder came up. But so right now, what you do is exactly what you do around the table. You just do it online because you cannot meet with your friends. So you open RPG Stories, you can build your scenes in it, or you can get one of our pre-built quests that we give, or the 101 battle maps that we're going to give. And you connect through Discord or whatever. You can play with your friends. You can roll the dice. It's an agnostic system, yes, basically. But later on, we're going to allow users to implement their own systems if they want more auto ways to play. Because to me, I really need to grab that book and open it. Even if I'm playing online, I have my books here. Because going through a PDF or through a text in the screen or in a UI, it's not for me. I don't like it.
No,
I things. That's what I do for a living, but I prefer books. So yeah.
I completely get it. I mean, I have every published iota of classic D&D, original to 1st edition advanced, in some electronic form on my PC over there. And I have a group of 10 players that I've been gaming with for a decade exclusively online. And look, I tell them, I have the PDFs here, but sometimes my fingers can get to a rule faster out of one of these rule books than I can scroll to it or find the right. It's just it's very very much muscle memory almost.
But muscle memory, and it feels better, I think, and that's why. So when the internet appeared, we all thought that books would disappear from the earth. They didn't. And
No.
I guess there is a reason for that, because people prefer. I remember that they introduced these small. They were like tablets where you could read PDFs. So it was an ebook basically. You couldn't do anything else. You couldn't. It wasn't a phone. It wasn't a tablet. You couldn't download apps. It was only to read books. They don't sell them anymore. So I
Right.
guess it feels better, and we are used to it. And every new generation kind of takes books. Same things with comic books. People want the real thing. I guess it's better.
Yeah, I mean, books are better. I think it is the height of irony. Now, I don't want to go too much down the rabbit hole, but I think it's the height of irony that it was constantly pushed by Amazon with their Kindle reader. It's like, you'll own these books. You'll own these books forever. We'll never do anything to these books just because they're stored on our central server and you read them on an electronic device. Nothing's ever going to happen to them until they actually pulled a book off of people's Kindles, and it was 1984 by Orwell.
Yeah.
I'm not making that up. It was not. They said, oh, there's a copyright problem. We have to delete that. And it got resolved and put back. But I mean, no software update is ever going to take my original D&D white box set or my first edition hardbacks away.
I agree.
And folks, I guess the lesson here that Aggie and I are trying to teach you is own physical copies of your books.
I agree with that. And even for video games, I kind of feel sad that we are now in a digital era. So basically, you cannot go and buy a CD, which is your new video game. You cannot own a copy. You just go to Steam and you download everything. I missed that. Even consoles now everything is online. You just buy the game. Yeah.
I mean, summer of 1983, we got our Atari 2600. That stack of little black cartridges, man. Two vertical feet of unending entertainment. Just pop that in and play. And now it's like we give you permission to play the game that you paid for. You may play as long as you stay on the internet where we can watch you. And come on, man. Yeah. But Miss Bella has a question here that's a real good one. One, can RPG stories be used to create solo campaigns? And two, will it go on sale for the holidays?
All right. First of all, I really like the name Miss Bella Games. All right. So here's the thing with solo D&D. Again, I'll try to be really honest. Like I'm always. I have no idea how many people play solo D&D. I had no idea. And I keep seeing it for years now. So yes, here's the thing. You can. I've never played a solo D&D. I've played. I've read and I've played a solo Call of Cthulhu adventure, and I had fun. And then I realized, okay, this is actually fun. So what happens with RPG stories is that you can create anything you want in RPG stories. At the same time, we offer a few demos and a few one-shots quests where everything is in the journal. You can go around, you can explore. Basically, you can play alone. But since so the answer is yes, and we are gonna, especially for Christmas, we're gonna implement more stories in it. Now that the multiplayer is out, we want to create around 5 to 10 one shots, and few of them we want them to be solo. We also have an agreement with Partster Games and a friend from Italy to implement some solo campaigns for D&D and Call of Cthulhu as well. So slowly we're going to start implementing these things, which are really easy to use. Basically, you go file, load, and you load the file and opens, and everything is there. But then realizing that people plays D&D, we started thinking of implementing features where it will allow you to actually play against an AI. So instead of you rolling the dice of the monster, the AI would do that for you. So the agony will be real, and kind of make a solo gaming version of RPG stories where the dungeon master is the AI and pop-ups open and you can see the quest and choose your next move, kind of like a video game, but with 100% freedom to go wherever you want and do whatever you want and explore any place you want, not like a straight line story. So the answer is yes, but we also have in our plans for next year to start implementing little features here and there that will make the experience a lot better for solo D&D.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Solo? Have you ever tried it?
Have I ever tried solo? Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. When I was a kid and I couldn't get together with my friends to play D&D, I had plenty of solo D&D. Choose your own adventure.
Is that Dragonlance?
This is Mountain of Mirrors by Rose Estes. I actually played some D&D with her a couple of weeks ago. But I have over here, I have a whole bunch of Steve Jackson fighting fantasy games. I've got the wizardry or sorcery books around here too.
Okay, then I have a question.
I have an answer.
Do you cheat? So because that's the question with solo D&D. So you roll the die and you get a 1. What do? Do you accept your fate?
I mean, I think as kids, we all, whether it was just a simple choose your own adventure book with no dice, or it was a fighting fantasy book that used dice, I think we all put our thumbs in the page where it was like, okay, if you go down the left hall, you're going to get eaten by the dragon. If you go down the right hall, you get all the treasure. All of us put our thumbs in there before we flipped the page. But as I got older and got new books, I realized I was just cheating myself out of all the fun they were supposed to have. And some of the Steve Jackson books actually had multiple paths to different win conditions. So when I figured that out, I stopped. But yeah, I mean, early on as a kid, absolutely, I would cheat, and I think probably we all did. Now, solo campaign play in first edition AD&D is not so much I mean, you can cheat and just say, okay, let's just say I did defeat the dragon in this room, because I'm not sure if you've ever looked deep into the first edition AD&D Dungeon Master's Guide, where Gary has the adventuring for solo players section, and you literally on the fly dynamically generate a dungeon as you explore it. That's a little less cheatable because of how it evolves. But yeah, I mean, you can fudge a die roll, but I can honestly say I have not fudged a die roll doing that. I have had many, many, many characters get slain right off the bat, but I have played those straight when I've gone. There was a question, who was it? I think Anon asked, what about spell effects? Well, let's broaden that out. What about special effects in general? Whether it's a spell effect, a flying arrow, a thrown rock, are things like that in the game?
So the short answer, yes, we have VFX, and we keep making our collection bigger, and we also allow you to. What we've done is that we have a base library of VFX, and by base I mean all the obvious things like portals and auras, fire-based, lightning-based, poison-based, ice-based VFX. But we also allow you to manipulate them a little bit, combine them, and create your own. So the answer is yes. What is forbidden by Wizards of the Coast is automations. So when you own a VTT, you basically cannot, officially, because some entities do it, you cannot say that I cast magic missile, then click on your character and see the magic missile, the actual animation hitting the monster. So that's something that Wizard of the Coast doesn't want you to do, because they think, probably kind of fair, they think that that resembles to a video game, and okay, I give you the license to create a VT, but you cannot create a D&D video game. There's a thin line over there. So what we have done is that we allow the DM to do it. So the dungeon master, because he's the director of the whole game, can actually take the fireball from the hands of, put the fireball in the hands of the wizard and move it to the monster and then make it disappear. Or we have another library that's called not VFX, but spell effects, where they don't stay in the scene. You just click, you see the effect, and then they go away. Basically, what we are trying to do, and that's our greatest dream, is to give, and that's what we've been building, is to give in the UI a console to the DM to be the director of the whole thing, control of all the cameras, or let them free, control all the VFX, or let the players do it. But in general, we've seen by testing months and months and seeing our community testing, is that at the end of the day, the players wait for the DM to do these things. They don't do them themselves. So when we started playing, all my players and my best friend, like not the devs, like actual people who play D&D, started moving around with the camera, walking around. But after 30 minutes, they stop pressing any button and they wait for the DM to show them around, to move the cameras, to describe the whole scene and what they see. I talk a lot now that I'm thinking about it, but yeah, the answer is that we have VFX, yes.
No, that's fine, and that's,
I'm passionate about it. I really like the software, and I really like what we are creating.
You brought up, I think, a very salient point these days about, Wizards of the Coast having a baby over people putting special effects in their VTTs because we don't want people making a D&D video game. No, you can, if you animate a spell effect, you're making a video game, which, I mean, they got shouted down pretty quickly by better legal brains than mine, who told them, it's actually not the case, you morons.
That's true. And what I cannot understand, I'm going to say it because that's what bothers me, is this thing. I cannot understand, and probably because I don't live in the United States and I have a different way of thinking when it comes to copyrights, especially in Greece. So what I don't get is this: how on earth the video game industry managed to come to an agreement that game is on. So everything kind of started with Diablo 1. So a typical RPG game was Diablo 1 and then Diablo 2. But then lots and lots of video games appeared. They're basically better than Diablo or not better than Diablo, but that's not the case. They are all the same. You do the same things in better graphics and in better story, maybe, but they all agree that we allow everything. We can do everything. Nobody's suing each other like, oh, that looks like Diablo, then the Blizzard is right and it needs to take all the money. I cannot understand why this cannot be applied in board games and why people are trying to get the copyrights and basically trying to get copyrights for mathematics, because that's what board games is. I know it sounds complicated, but when you roll the dice and that represents a move of your character, that's mathematics. You cannot copyright this. It's so obvious. It basically is like trying to get the rights for 1 + 1 = 2, which is impossible. Yeah. So I don't get it. And to be fair, because there's a lot of hate for Wizards of the Coast, and I can understand it, other tabletop companies are worse than Wizards of the Coast. So for instance, Wizards of the Coast allows you to run a Kickstarter campaign with a product claiming that this is a D&D-like product. When it comes to Vampire the Masquerade, you cannot do anything at all.
Yeah.
So,
They've
but I don't
gone
get it.
after
I
people
just,
hammer and tongs.
yeah.
But no, as far as the mechanics, again, I'm not a lawyer, but as far as mechanics, and this is what Wizards of the Coast would desperately like people to not know. And hey, I'm going to be completely honest. What TSR before them would desperately like people to have not known was that all the way back, and this had nothing to do with Dungeons and Dragons, but there was a case. This might be you're somewhat younger than I'm 53. I'll be 54 in January, but we're in the same Gen X bracket, I think. But do you know the game Trivial Pursuit?
Yes.
Are you familiar? Okay, so Trivial Pursuit, there was a third party company you could buy. Trivial Pursuit in the early mid 80s was huge. It was massive. It was the party game everybody wanted to play, and the company that made it would put out more card sets and so on and etc. A third party company came out and said, well, we're going to put out our own card sets and our own little wedges to put in there. And the company that made Trivial Pursuit said, whoa, no, you're not. We're going to sue you. That's our idea. You can't do that. We're suing you. And that's the end of you guys. We'll teach you to rip us off. And a judge sat down and looked at this and said, you guys cannot copyright game mechanics. You can copyright the presentation. You can't have a circular board that does exactly what, but if you want to have a trivia game where you fill up a container with a number of pieces, and that's your winning gambit is to do that, as long as it doesn't look like Trivial Pursuit. If it acts like Trivial Pursuit, the mechanics are fine. This was proven in a court of law.
Yeah, and that's the case. I know that, and the problem is this: that what they are basically doing, and they hope, is that scare people, because if they go to court, they're going to lose. But they know that me, the owner of RPG Stories, or you, we don't have the money to go to the court again.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
If I come out with a game tomorrow called Delvers and Dungeons, well, let's just I just call it the Delver game, and I follow the track of you can't copyright rules, you can only copyright rule presentations, and I publish my game. I am legally within my rights. But what I can't do, Aggie, is afford to get on a plane and fly to Washington and go to a courtroom in Renton with an attorney next to me, so the attorney can tell the judge, this case has precedent, case dismissed. That would cost me thousands of dollars I don't have.
Exactly. That's the problem. That's what they do and where they base all the strategy. And that's what they try to do with VTTs as well. And it was so scary for us. And I came to realize what they don't realize is that the community of these games is really different than what they think this community is. So I'm pretty sure that when they decided the whole OGL thing, they didn't expect this backlash.
Yeah. And that's and
we are a different audience. And the same thing happened with Unity. So Unity is the game engine, one of the most famous game engines.
I remember about the Unity thing a few weeks ago.
The same thing happened. The backlash was because devs don't care about these things. You're going to do that with Unity. You want to control the copyrights. All right, I will go to another, or I will create my own engine. So everyone started to unsubscribe from Unity, and then they apologized, and they brought the normal conditions back. So and I strongly believe that D&D became that famous because of third-party content. All these teams they kept creating content, especially after 4th edition, which was really bad. So we keep this thing alive. They need to respect more, I think, the gamers and the third-party companies.
And I'm gonna mention that, just one more thing on this, and then I want, if you can, I'd like you to show us a little bit of RPG stories. But the last thing I'm going to mention on this is, you were just coming into second edition probably when this was starting to happen. What I think Wizards of the Coast didn't realize was we grognards, and I'll include you in that, we grognards, we've been through this before. TSR was horrible.
Yeah.
TSR would throw a lawsuit at you if you so much as said the word Dungeons and Dragons without their permission. They would sue. This is kind of a famous but funny bit. TSR threatened to sue the phone company in the 80s because you'd have 5 or 6 or a dozen or 100 kids in a city with their own computer bulletin board system where they were trading their own homegrown Dungeons and Dragons text files. You know, a new class, a new monster. So kids would dial up BBSs, would start swapping this stuff around. And, you know, you're proud of what you created. So you'll put at the top of the text file, this was created by Bill the Dungeon Delver. Call my BBS at this phone number. And then Aggie would say, you know, this has been passed on to the D&D community by Aggie. Call my BBS at this phone number. And when these made it into the hands of TSR and it got kicked up the food chain to their attorneys, TSR turned around and started issuing cease and desist letters to the phone company, because the phone company was doing this. And the phone company back in the 1980s was a giant monolithic organization. It was hilarious. So all of this is to say, if Wizards of the Coast thought they could scare guys like you and me and the people in our audience away from D&D with their empty legal threats, they were wrong. They were wrong.
Because there are a lot of options out there, and I don't know if it's a myth or if Gary ever said that. Probably it's a myth. But we don't need rules. And we can make our own rules and play. I mean, it's
not that far. It's in original D&D. Gary wrote it's in the booklets. It's in the booklets. He said, "Who are we to tell you what to think? We're not going to do your thinking for you." So it's not a myth. Also not a myth.
Yeah.
RPG stories. Show it to us, my friend.
All right. So I'm going to share my screen.
All right.
All right. Let's share this screen, and I'm going to double click the RPG stories and it's going to launch. So let me hide this. Okay. So, I don't know what theme is going to appear.
I'm going to add you to the screen. There we go.
All right. So that's RPG Stories. This is the user interface. What we have done is that we have created this left side. We give all the tools to world build, and all this UI is to play when you are online. So the user can use his mouse to start moving the camera around and viewing the world. You can unzoom or zoom. And you can rotate the camera, of course, and you can move the camera like this. All these are done with your mouse. Really, it's really simple. So this is a demo scene. We decided to implement the demo scene right away when you open RPG Stories, so that people can won't see like an empty canvas. I'm going to show how it is right now. So when you start, you see this grid, and basically it's an endless 3D world. All right. So I'm going to show some really simple things you can do. You can go top view. You can move the camera. So I'm going to demonstrate everything really fast. So the first button is your general. So in your general, you're going to this is Greek, sorry, you can type whatever you want. You can
Right.
say, okay, that's page 1, page 2, page 3. You can change the title, of course. So you can write your whole quest in here, but you can also place quest nodes in the 3D scene. So you can actually, put quest notes as you go, and the players can see these notes and can read these notes. So the next layer, because everything is like Photoshop, every tool is a layer. I'm going to explain what this means. So the next layer is grounds. So when you click the grounds and when you click all of the next buttons, what happens is that your collection opens. And the collection is split between general, which is for all eras, fantasy, modern, and sci-fi. All right. So you can change the ground entirely to grass, or I don't know, desert or water or whatever you want. So this way you can change the whole ground. So the next step will be for this ground not to be like a straight surface, but we're going to also add random hills and random things so that you can see things in the horizon. So in order to replicate the whole scene that I showed when we opened the software, I'm going to choose this grass. So we have the building grid. That's basically the building grid, but you can change to the gaming grid. So that's the famous grid that we use in D&D. That's the building grid if you want to use the snapping tool, basically, and, go build things in tiles. So the next thing is the auto room builder, which basically we give all these dungeons here. Again, it's fantasy, it's modern, and sci-fi. You're a D&D channel. Let's go with fantasy. And I'm going to pick this one. And all you have to do is drag and draw, and you create rooms. So that way you can easily and fast create a dungeon. All right. And we have several styles. Let's see, because this is really bright. Let's see an Egyptian style. Again, you can build your rooms, zoom in, do whatever you want, and you get corridors and rooms just by drawing in the scene. And we have a lot of different styles, as you can see, that you can play with. Now, what we like to do with RPG stories is whatever we give in an auto way, like this one, that you can just draw. We like to give these things also for manual purposes. So if you don't want to create rooms like that, you can use the tiles right away. So you can pick that floor and start putting tiles on your own, and then use the walls. Pick a wall. Let's pick this one and start drawing the wall. It's easy as that. All right. And of course, you can delete these things with a click of a button. One question we often get when it comes to rooms is that if you can create corners. I'm now in top view, almost top view. So yeah, you can create corners if you hold control as you do. So basically, you can create whatever you want. And same thing with the tiles. If you hold control, you can create all the rooms you want.
Okay.
So that's with the rooms, and when you want to create a dungeon, because it's Dungeons and Dragons. So when it comes to fences, we also have fences. Let's go again to fantasy. In the fences, we have city walls, which basically you can create your own castles, or small fences like this one for a garden. And after you've built these things, or before you build things, your dungeons and these things, of course, we have doors and windows, a huge collection. Again, now I'm in fantasy. If I go to all, you're going to see also sci-fi doors like this one, where you can place your doors, and of course you can place different styles into different buildings and your windows and everything. Next, which is my favorite layer. Also, before I go ahead, let me explain something. When I say that everything works like Photoshop, basically what we've done is that every part of the wall builder is in a layer. So when you click in these green buttons here, you can turn them red. So you can hide the walls, you can hide the floors, you can hide the doors. Makes your life easier. All right. So the next layer is structures, where basically here we have modular pieces to build anything you want. So we give like a piece of wall, or if I go down, we give buildings for you to use right away. We have in every collection a really good and well organized search engine. So now let's go to fantasy, and if I write, let's say, elven house, it will bring me elven houses, which I can put right away, and I can build my scene. So basically, using this collection, you can do whatever you want. If I type village, it will start giving me props ready to be used for a village. And as well, every building we give it in modular pieces. So let's say, for instance, if you, this is one of my favorites, the Gothic style. So if you don't want this building to look like that, we also give it into modular pieces if you want to spend time to build it on your own. Let's put a hobbit house here. All right, so after you've done this and you are in a room or in an area, we have the object layer. Here are all the objects. So we have nature, okay, obviously trees, things like that. But everything you can imagine, if you type here, let's make an example. Let's say weapons, you get weapons. If you type keywords like dungeons, you're going to get props for a dungeon, like chests, rocks, railroads, anything you might want. Okay, so the collection is really big. So I'm showing these things fast, but let's see something up close. So when you pick an object, you can place it in the 3D scene with a click, and you get UI around the object, and you can do several things. So you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can copy it, you can delete it, you can also rotate it. And for the users who want to do more manual work, we allow with a single button to turn into this UI, where basically you can rotate and change the shape entirely. You can do whatever you want with models. So we give everything ready, but we also give you the ability, if you like to do manual heavy work, to create amazing scenes however you want. I'm gonna go to the next layer, which is the characters and monsters. So here again, general fantasy, modern, and sci-fi. In general, we have all the animals and things like that. These are 3D models with animation. So I don't know, let's put this penguin here. So yeah, you get a penguin. But if you go to and type orc, you're gonna get orcs. And if you go and type,
oh, he's animated.
Yeah,
look, it's animated. It's default so animation. Yeah. Nice.
If you write Cthulhu, you will get Cthulhu. Let's.
Oh no,
that's yeah. So what happens is that when you join a game, you get to pick your character. Let's showcase that as well. So if I join a game, this is my basic character sheet. I can put my name. I can choose any character I want to join. Add my level, my hit points, and join a game if I have the password from a DM to join. All right.
Okay. Risa wants to know if you want her to join Connect for multiplayer. She's asked twice now, so I gotta.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. He says, "Yay."
Let me host a game. I'm gonna use this scene.
And by the way, you're gonna have to drink from the fire hose because so many people are asking questions, which is good. So I got questions stacked up, ready to go.
All right. So I'm gonna copy this code. I'm gonna send it to Chrisa, and she will probably appear somewhere here, which is the center of the scene. So yeah, she's gonna pick a character, and she will join soon enough. The next layer is the weather. Basically, you get all these options, and the dungeon master can change the weather as we go. So I'm gonna add some rain just to see how it looks, or you can add snow, and you can change the weather according to what is happening to your game. I'm gonna clear the weather now.
Okay.
Let's put heavy rain, like this one.
Now, let me ask you this. What about hills or pits?
Yeah. Let me explain this.
Okay.
So we don't need snow. Let's clear the weather.
Mhm.
All right. So right now, what we want to do, we have hills. So if you click hills, you get hills. All right. And again, you can make them bigger, smaller, and same thing with mountains, and same thing with pits. But
Okay.
what we want to do, because this is manual work, and we understand that some people want to go faster, we want, when you generate your ground, like I do now, I'm going to turn this to a desert, for instance. We want this to be a randomized space with hills, pits, and mountains right away. So when you build, you are able to build in a more realistic environment. But you can find everything like objects and create the scenes the way you want. So another thing that we have, because we understood that, let's say, for example, if I go to trees and pick this tree, or let's take a bigger one like this one. All right. So if you want to build a forest, what you would do is get that and start copy pasting trees. And that is why we implement several tools where you can build right away and draw basically in the scene and create your scenes really fast like this.
Oh, wow.
If I had to go right away, what I would do, let's say I want to create a forest. So it's simple as that. I would go to grounds, click that type of floor. Let's pick another one to change it. And then I would go to objects, pick this tree, and right away draw a scene. And right now I'm ready to come here and play, because I have everything I need. And what is amazing with this is that we allow the dungeon master to use the world builder in an online session. So that means somewhere is Chrisa in this environment. But
I think I see her over there. Is that her over there in front of Cthulhu?
No, she's not. And we have. I'm pretty sure that there is a little bit of difference, because there she is. She's using this beholder. So yeah, that's Chrisa. So when you pick a character, you are allowed to move your character wherever you want, but the dungeon master can force the view. So now Chrisa is viewing whatever she chooses to see. But if I come here and click that button, everything will turn here, and her camera will focus here. Of course, we have fog of war, because we don't want players to be able to go anywhere they want and see everything you have. So if you have a dungeon, you can use the fog of war. The players cannot see through it. The dungeon master can erase it from the layer. So the dungeon master sees what the hell is going on in here, but the players cannot. The VFX that you asked. So let's say, for instance, let's go to Fireball, which is the most famous. So here's the animation. The dungeon master can do the animations they want. So let's say that we have this nice dryad here, and let's say we have a skeleton. Let's put this skeleton archer here. So the dungeon master can, in the online session, can take the fireball and do the whole thing, do the move, demonstrate, see the area of effect. We also have, there's Grisa, we also have like the measurement tool where you can see the distances. Let's open the grid as well. So you can do whatever you want, and the collection of the VFX is pretty big. And we have everything you need to represent the spells. Like this is a firewall, and you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you want. And again, if I go to all, obviously, we have plenty and plenty and plenty of VFX to represent the spells. These kind of VFX stay on the scene. You can obviously delete them, but we also have this type of VFX, like this one, where you just click and you see the VFX, but then after a little bit, it goes away. What else? There is also the LUTs layer, where you control the colors of the scene. So I can turn it red. I can add contrast, or do crazy things like black and white. If you're playing like Call of Cthulhu, you might want that. Let's go back to the default. Now, this is the best thing we have, the custom objects, because I'm going to ignore Chrisa for a little bit. We allow you to combine models. So I'm going to make a fast example, and let's show something modern instead of D&D. I'm going to put desk. So I'm going to pick that model, this makeup desk, all right? And then I'm going to write bedroom. So here is everything a bedroom could have. Let's make them bigger so people can see. So I have created these three things. Now I'm going to take this perfume, put it here, make it bigger. These scissors, put it up there, make them bigger. This brush, make it bigger. Makeup, eyeshadow. So, and we also need a chair, right? Let's put a chair here. Okay, and let's make the proper size. So now that I have created this, I can drag my mouse like this, select everything, and create a group. So now I can use all this as one object. And not only that, but I'm allowed to save it. Let's do that, actually. I'm going to call it stream desk. All right? I can say that, okay, for me, this is a modern prop. I can come closer, take a nice photo, and save it. So when I save it, if I go to my custom object, I can then find it. So here it is, and I can reuse it. So these custom objects, people tend to share them in Steam Workshop, and they create amazing things. Like, let me show you something that is created by our community. So that's a nice example, a rock with crystals. The dancing hat of Baba Yaga, I'm pretty sure that you're familiar.
Yes.
With it, yeah. This horse with potions. So people tend to create amazing things like this waterfall.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. Let me find something that I really like. This treehouse. I haven't downloaded everything they have created. I should, because, I'm the owner of this thing. But yeah, people create amazing things using the Steam Workshop. And you basically can combine all our models to create really good things. I think we also have a snail. Yeah, here it is. So that's my favorite. This guy took the snail that we have in the animals and this house and created this amazing scene here. So basically, you can do whatever you want if you have the time. But to demonstrate a little bit of the multiplayer, I'm going to come here to have a scene. So this is how the dice roll on the scene. Obviously, 2 3s. I'm not good at it. 15. There you go. So you have here the dice. You have the chat. You can see what you roll. You can say, hey, Chrisa. And Chrisa will see it, obviously. connect through Discord and play. The characters can move around, simple as that. So I'm gonna drop the connection with Lisa to demonstrate a little bit the 100 battle maps to explain exactly what we are doing. So these are the RPGs files. I will go to, let's pick the forests. Where are they? There you are. So if I double click here, a new scene will open. So that's a battle map. All right. This thing is in 3D. If I turn the camera, you can move and see everything. But if I go to top view, it looks like a battle map. So what we do is that we create the scenes with grid or without grid.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, if I click this little button here, I get a 2D image on my PC. Let me find it. Here it is. So this is what we give to in that Kickstarter campaign. So this is the kind of battle maps that people will get. They can zoom in, zoom out, but that's a 2D image. At the same time, we're going to send to everyone this little file that I just opened. So whenever they get RPG stories, if they ever want to get it, they will also be able to open that battle map and use it in 3D. And of course, keep building in this scene if they want. All right. Another cool feature that we have is that we allow the Dungeon Master to split his quest into different environments. So if you click this button here, you can create another environment and a third environment, and you can move between environments.
That brings... Okay, so I have a question about that. Let's say I've created Temple of Elemental Evil in RPG Stories, and I have a party that goes from the Cathedral of Evil to the first level. That's just going to be a one-click thing for me to bring them all into the second map.
Exactly.
At the footsteps. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
Great.
So I really like that you asked that. I prefer that way. So what I usually do, and let me actually show you. I'll go here, RPG quests. So let's open this quest. This is one of the quests that we're going to give for free.
Okay.
So what I've done, this is like a really small scene. The quest is really simple. This couple has a kid that it's lost, and they ask from the adventurers to go and find the kid. Okay, that's not the story, but I don't want to reveal it. So what I've done is that I have the start, because here they're going to talk with a couple and they can explore the house and find clues. Then I have this tab that is called the trip, where I have this forest where the players walk and they will be ambushed by this undead. And then if they walk enough, they will get in this hut where a witch lives. Mm-hmm. And then I have the interior of the hut. So I have what is going on in the hut. So I split my quests into environments because I like the idea that when I want to move to another scene, all the players come here. But what I've seen is that younger players than me, like, different players, they prefer to build everything in one scene and let the players walk from one place to another, and they create huge worlds. I don't really like it, but you can do it. So I prefer splitting everything into tabs. But let me show you one example. So that's a quest that we've played. Everything is a little bit destroyed right now because we've played that quest and I've saved it that way. But here, what we've done is that we've built its level of this tower in the same scene. So the players could walk, go up the stairs, enter this room, go up that ladder, go up here. And we played the whole session in one scene instead of, building into different scenes.
Nice. Okay, so seeing those caves brings something else. Now, I like the constant devil for me is organic natural caves. I love them in dungeons, but I like Dwarven Forge is 90-degree angles, or if they make caves, it's like, well, they're shaped like that, not like the cave shape you want. Do you have an organic kind of shaping tool for that?
So yeah, let's create an environment for caves. All right.
Great.
So what we have done for the caves, we give, and we're going to give more options. Let's open the grid. So I'm going to pick a ground that I like with caves. I personally like this one for caves, but we have more options. I think we have one dedicated to caves as well. Maybe not. Which one is it? This one? No, I'll find it. That's one that looks good for caves. So we have several options. The first option we give you is the structure layer, where you can type caves and you can find pieces to create your caves. So that will be the entrance, let's say, for example, right?
Right.
And then we give you modular pieces to create. And obviously, if I go to objects and type caves, I'm going to find, actually, it's cave, not caves. I'm going to find all these big pieces that I can build with these rocks, my caves. But we also like the auto way. So what we have done, we have created this version of fence where basically you can create your own cavey thing and make it like this. And I'm pretty sure we have a floor that matches with that. Chrisa will kill me that I cannot find it. Yeah, it's this one. So basically we give them as walls, and you can do whatever crazy shape you want to create the caves and then further building it. We will soon add this feature to the auto room builder and make it a little bit more random than that. And now that you say caves, let me show you a scene that I was building just before I entered this interview. So if I go here and go caves and open this one, here's a cave. And I have a nice dwarf in it. So that's the end.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can go in. And I was thinking of a spider maybe in here. Let's put this one. There you go, a drider. So yeah, it's a matter of how much you want to work in it. You can get one of our pre-made scenarios. You can build everything on your own. You can go to Steam Workshop by clicking this button and download something from a friend. But what we do right now is this, that we build these battle maps to demonstrate how powerful the RPG Stories is. Chrisa says that if I go here and write cave, I'm going to find, these are the floors for the caves. There you go. Thank you, Chrisa. There you go. And we have another option, which is with tiles.
Nice.
Also, I forgot to mention that you can go to night or sunset.
And I see at least some of your lighting in there, or is it all of your lighting, like from torches and stuff? That's ambient, right? Like the torches actually light up areas.
Yeah, they do.
Nice. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And all this, guys, and again, I'm not being a shell. I'm just talking to you guys about excellent, cool looking stuff. This is $40. Okay. This is 2 lunches at McDonald's you can skip. All right. This is absolutely cool stuff. Now I'm gonna warn you here, Aggie. I have like 16 questions in the back, and 14 of them are from Jack Photon. So whenever you want to start taking some questions, let me know, and I'll start popping them up there and asking.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So
I want to mention one thing.
Yes.
So we offer 2 different versions. The one is the gym version, is the one I'm using right now.
Okay.
Which has the wall builder. And you can play, if you click the connection, you can host a game or you can join as a player. So with the GM version, which is $40, you can do whatever you want. You can be the DM, you can be the player, you can do whatever you want. Let me also host a game because Chrisa wants to re-enter.
Okay.
So, and you just send this code to your friend and they can join. So because we realize that out there are a lot of D&D players who never do the DM, they never DM, they never write quests, and they just want to join as players. We are going to start by the 17th of November to also give player versions. A player version will look exactly the same, but you won't have access to all the models of the world builder. So basically, you will be able to use some of the models and join as a player in any game.
Okay. Right on.
And we did that to give a second option, which is half the price, for people who will never use the world builder and they don't want to, mess with writing quests. So we wanted to lower the overall price for the whole party. Of course, if you buy the player version, you will be able to upgrade to the GM version whenever you want. But, if a party wants to give $100 and they can all start play together, one will own the GM version and all the rest can buy player versions if they don't want to spend a lot of money. So, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so let's go to your questions, guys, because you guys are, like I said, there's 20 questions now, and I think more than half of them are Jack Photons. But let's start with Jack here. By panning around, can opposing sides see obscured opponents? So like if there's a cave wall in the way or other stuff, can I, as a player, if you're DMing, Aggie, can I just grab the camera and drag around and see whatever I want to see on the map?
Yes, you can. So but that depends on the DM. So what Chrisa sees right now is whatever she wants to see. She can move the camera. She can go whenever she wants. She can do whatever she wants. All right. If you click this button, I force her to that view.
Okay.
So the logic, and we're going to add also, we will start adding more options for the DM, like locking the cameras forever for the players so that the players can only see what the DM wants them to see. And, the Dungeon Master will become the director of everything. So we're trying to keep everything open. In my experience, players tend not to cheat. So even if you leave everything to the players, after a while, they will stop moving the camera. They will stop going around and they will sit here, fight the monster, and they will wait for the DM to move the camera instead of them doing it. But we wanted to give all the options because we understand that some DMs want to have full control. Mm-hmm. So our next step is to give more of these buttons to the DM. By the way, if you mouse over on every button, it explains exactly what you do with that button. So yeah, you can go wherever you want if the DM allows it.
Right on.
If the DM is strict, you will be locked here fighting the monster.
Okay, I think we already talked about circular corridors and rooms. Input custom bump, depth, and texture maps. Can you do that?
What was the question? Sorry.
The question is, can if you're doing design on this thing, can you input custom bump, depth, and texture maps?
You mean like 2D images?
I guess that was Jack's question.
Or maybe what he means is change the textures of the models. If that's the question, no. We want to add some features that you can play a little bit with the textures, make them more dirty, or add snow on them, or add dust on them. If the question is for the 2D images, like when you're here, drop a 2D image in here, let me tell you. So we have a layer that I didn't demonstrate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to turn to top view. It's this layer that is called 2D. So in here, we have 2D assets and 2D maps. Okay. So if someone wants to play in RPG stories, but not in a 3D environment, they can use battle maps basically, and then choose a token to move around the map, right? So you can play in 2D if you want, and you can, of course, use all these cool features that we have, right? All right. So place the spider in here, make it a little bit smaller, and there you go. So you can also play in 2D. What we want to allow this year is for you to upload your own images in here, because we have implemented some from friends. And so this is from Natwoons. It's a nice team from Australia that creates really good maps. But we want to allow people to upload their own 2D images, because although we are a 3D virtual tabletop, we understand that people over the years have spent a lot of money and effort to create 2D maps.
Okay.
So we wanted to give that opportunity. Also, a lot of members of the community want the ability to, throw a map in here so they can have a reference and start building in 3D.
Excellent.
These as a reference, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Next
All
question.
Right. Next question. Again, Jack Photon. I did warn you. He was asking a lot. Can you add, or is there a permutation function applied to a given object so they don't all look the same, even if only colors and textures? I guess so. Can you have a little bit of noise generated so that these three trees don't all look exactly the same?
Okay. No, we have a variety of trees and a variety of objects. So we try when we implement something to implement a variety of these things. So if we implement a desk, we're going to implement different styles of the desk.
Okay.
When it comes to customizing the objects, let me explain this. So if I add here, let's take the desk, for example. So let's go to fantasy desks. All right. Or all, maybe. So let's take this sci-fi desk, for instance. All right. So if I come to this UI, what I can do right now is stretch, make it bigger, make it smaller, rotate it. These are the custom options we give. To give noise on the texture is something that we can do. We actually do it in the engine before we implement the models. So this scratches, for example, is our own work. We want at some point to give this ability to the users. Maybe here an extra button that you can change a little bit the texture, add noise, make them the way you want them to be. And also adding the LUTs layer where you can actually play a little bit with the contrast, the saturation, and the filter itself and how it looks. You can change a lot in the scene. But the reason we are slow in giving these abilities to the users is because when it comes to playing and, fooling around with the 3D models, you might create something that is heavy and then you will have performance issues. So we always keep an eye on the multiplayer, because when more than 5 people connect, we want things to be smooth. And since we chose, because that's the nice thing, we chose to give the ability to the DM to use the world builder in an online session. That means that every time I, the DM, move this rock, data are transferred to all the users. So if I also allow you to change the textures, this will be a huge amount of data. So that means that if I do that, I might allow you to do it in the world builder, but then not allowing you to do it live in an online session. So these things are pretty complicated when it comes to an online software, because when you are in a single player mode and you build your environments, it's really easy to give you guys everything you want. But to also give you the chance to do it online, because when it comes to D&D, you might want to turn this statue from a rocky statue to a bloody statue. That would be hard. when it comes to an online game. So we need to do these implementations carefully and not to mess with the networking. So we go slowly. We're going to do it at some point. And that's the answer to the question.
Excellent. Thank you. So let's see. A good question here from Miss Bella says, can you make the creatures, I'm guessing she's talking about monsters and such, path through a scene? So like
Lisa is doing right now?
Yeah, like that. Can you will they walk around things rather than through things?
All right. So here's the thing. That's another complicated story, because when it comes to D&D, you need, and all other games, you need to leave these things open. So right now, if Chrisa, I'm going to unzoom, I'm going to force the view, and I'm going to ask her to come here. So when Chrisa chooses, or me as the DM chooses to walk from here, this place, to this place, the monster will get through the wall.
Okay.
Because let's say, for instance, you cast a spell that allows you to do that. So we didn't want to block the pathfinding and not allow users to go anywhere they want. But then again, it makes sense that if you have this corridor, you want your character to walk in this corridor and not to be able to go through the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the same time, Bella, I guess if you have this rock, you might want your character to come up to this rock instead of passing through. So what we're doing is that we are giving the ability to the DM to actually custom these things. So if you don't do anything, the character walks on the floor, will pass through the walls, will do standard things. But we allow the DM with this layer here, which is called GM tools. Basically, we give him 3 tools for now. The one is called non-walkable area, which basically means that the players cannot go there.
Okay.
So if you place that here, they won't be able to go through the walls.
So as long as you take the precautions to make them not walk through, they can't walk through. Okay. So
and same thing with the walkable area. So if I add this green thing here, every character will be able to stand up on this rock.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Something. These things cannot be seen by the players.
Excellent. Right? I've gotta ask this question because Elvin made in. She's got to go. She's in the UK, so it's late for her too. So she asks, "Can you play or stream music into your session?"
Not yet. And the main reason is that our surveys showed us that people is doing that through Discord. So we didn't implement it yet, but one of our next steps will be to implement a collection of sound effects and music.
Excellent.
But yeah, people used to stream through Discord, so we didn't do it right away.
Okay. So something like that is coming. Very cool. Thank you, Elvin Maiden, for hanging on to hear your question answered. Have a lovely evening. Let's see. Okay. Again, back to Jack Photon. Option to disable cycle animations such as the exaggerated breathing trope. Can you basically freeze a model and have it not moving, waving its tentacles, flapping its wings, whatever?
Okay, so not right now, but it's one of our next updates. What we want to do is not only freeze the characters, but add what we call them condition animations. So the DM will be able to click on the character. It will be another button here with a list of animations like that this character is unconscious, this character is freeze, this character is to stop the animation or change the animations instead of having the breathing like that.
Excellent.
So yeah, that's in our plan. So here's a dragon. Yeah, Chrisa is playing with her character.
All right. So let's see. Good question here from Bob Jester. Can we load our own characters to it and get them to fit within the 3D models?
Not yet. So
Not
remember that I told you that we want to allow people to upload their own 2D images?
yes.
That's a universal task. So by the end of this season, we want to create an uploader where people will be able to upload their own models and following our instructions, of course. Basically, for people who understand, an FBX or an OBJ will be great. And these models will follow the universal animations that we have. So that's nice. And also, so it will be an uploader for 3D and 2D at the same time. We are trying to keep
Very
this
cool.
this feature low and not to tell people because it needs a lot of work, but it's definitely in our plans because we know that people really want that.
Cool. It's coming. So I think it's a one-time purchase. This isn't a subscription model, right?
No, it's a one-time thing.
Okay, so that James Seymour, there you go. And I think we covered that. You're asking about rotating the scene, but no, the DM can lock that. So Jack, again, I think we kind of touched on this already when I asked you about hills regarding landscape sculpting a la ZBrush sculpting. I think we kind of covered that.
Yeah.
So let's see. Mike Carson says, can the DM see only the DM view, or can the DM toggle to see the player view? Which I think the DM can see whatever he wants, right?
Well, the DM cannot see what the player chose to see, if that's the question. So if, for instance, Chrisa right now moved her camera and is zooming in here, there is no way for the DM to know that. But what the DM can do is force Chrisa to see exactly what I'm doing now. So now Chrisa is forced to see that.
Okay.
But no, you cannot do it because basically it's really complicated to choose which player, and these things are live. Maybe they're moving their camera, so it's almost impossible to do it. But you can lock them so that, and be sure that now that I've clicked here, the whole team is viewing this, what I'm showing now.
Okay. Let's see. Another from Jack here. This kind of gets into the weeds a little bit on Star Trek. A game like FOSS's Star Trek uses action points, which accounts for 1.5 meter movement over 10 seconds. Is there a way to map movement to time, even for AD&D segments, rounds, and turns?
Okay, a time tracker. Yes, all right. So that's another feature that we have in our plans. And actually, I like that because I'm going to show you something. No, it's not that. Sorry. Let me find it. Where is it? Come on. Because I want to prove that I don't lie. That here in our tasks is the initiative tracker and the time and the timer. So this is definitely in our plans, and we came to realize that especially sci-fi role-playing games really need features like that. So since he or she, I didn't hear, mention the Star Trek, what we want to do now, Chrisa, sorry about that. I'm gonna kick you. No, I'm not gonna kick you. So we want to turn this into space and start adding spaceships, because again, we understand it's really important for people who play sci-fi games. So that's why in our next plans. But no, right now we don't have exactly what was asked for, but we have it in our production line.
Okay. All right, let's see. Next up, here we go. James Seymour says, is this streamable if somebody wants to broadcast? Are there any specific tools for streaming ease?
If you want to stream it, I would suggest it depends. So here's the thing: it depends on the platform where you want to stream.
Okay.
In my opinion, the best choice is OBS because it's free and you can stream on YouTube, Twitch, or whatever you want. It's streamable because you can share your screen from like I do right now. But we haven't implemented any, live streaming feature on it to, connect right away with YouTube or Twitch. So basically you have to stream it the exact same way you stream all games with a share screen program like OBS or Bandicam or whatever, like all video games.
Right on. And I think Vaughn's got the last one in the bin. Is there a hex grid available for the 2D view?
Okay, so that's another thing. So what we're doing right now, and actually we're doing it this month, is that we are kind of playing with the grid. So if you see, we have the building grid and the D&D grid. As I click this, I toggle between these grids. So we want to add more options to that.
Okay.
And we are doing it right now. That's exactly, and that was a nice question because we want to do it. Also, right now, the grid don't show really well when it comes to more bright surfaces like this one. So here you can see it, but here it's not amazing. So from the settings, we want to allow people to change a little bit the color of the grid, maybe make it higher or even customize it. So if you don't want to be 5 feet and you want to do it like 10 feet or 20 or 3 feet to be able to do these things. So we are changing right as we speak, but basically this month we are trying to change the grid and make it customizable and add more options.
Excellent. Well, those were some fantastic questions, Guy. I'm sure Maggie's probably probably worn out. It'd likely be easier to talk to a bunch of investors than this crowd, but we do appreciate your questions around here.
We really do, and I'm really happy because after we've done all this work, because as you can see, we have spent hours and hours and months and years of development into this, and you can get all these amazing things. And sometimes it's weird because you demonstrate all these features and then people start asking questions that you don't have in your system and you're like, oh my God. But I'm glad because everything people is asking us, it's in our design. It's are the things we want to do as our next steps. So it means we probably understand what the community needs and we are really happy about it.
Right on. Now, Risa says, showcase the fog of war and hide the layer and explain that the player still sees it.
I already done that. Yeah, I have already done that. So yeah, the Dungeon Master can add fog of war like in all VTTs. But since we have this layer section, the Dungeon Master can hide it. But actually now Chris is in the dark because it's me who don't see the fog of war, but the fog of war is still there. So of course you can take it off right away.
Nice.
And we've also added, just for the fun of it, white fog of war because that's actually a funny story. So our leader developer, he's an amazing developer. He's the best in the industry, in my opinion, but that's my opinion. Anyway, so he's really good. But before he met us, he have never played D&D. So when we explained the whole feature of the fog of war, we never asked him to make the fog of war black because, the fog of war in all VTT is black. So he thought, okay, it's a fog, I'm going to make it white. So we ended up with a white version as well. But yeah.
Excellent. There you go. Actual fog.
Actual fog.
You gotta love it, man. I dig it. So I have a question about dice. I see you've got the standard RPG dice over on the toolbar on the far right there. You have DCC, which has like D7 and D5 and D16 and D14 and all that stuff. Will you add will you add more dice more weird dice?
Yeah. So listen, we have a list with all the dice we want to implement, and the system is ready. And basically, when it comes to code, this is a representation. So the system is ready to host any kind of dice you want. So we have a list. We also want to add the special dice that Alien uses and the special dice that Hero Quest is using.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that we are kind of researching a little bit the copyrights before we do it.
Of course.
Because you never know.
Right.
But yeah, it's there. The system works. And also today, but the upgrade is not yet up. We added the ability to add modifiers and to be able to roll multiple dice at once. It's all there. It will be uploaded in the next update, which I think is next Friday, if I'm not mistaken. We do updates every 2 weeks, and we give new things. So yeah, the next update will be the improved dice. So we can do whatever we want for the dice, but right now we are resetting a little bit the copyrights because we are a little bit scared, especially when it comes to Disney and sci-fi games. We are taking our risks, to be fair. For instance, let's say we have this elite trooper that kind of looks like a stormtrooper, but or for instance, we kind of have lightsabers. Baby steps, little by little. We are researching what we are allowed to do and what we are not allowed to do. And
absolutely,
we implement it, and that's another reason that we want people to be able to upload their own models, because if a user uploads something with copyrights to play with his friends, that's all right. The problem is if we do it.
Right. Okay, so speaking of dice, now that this doesn't have to be the end of the chat session, but we've been going for a good couple of hours here, and I've been teasing our audience, telling them there's a prize coming. Aggie, what is the prize? Tell us what the prize is.
All right, so we gave you the 1 GM version for the show and for your fans.
Mm-hmm.
And you can give it away. What I would suggest to people, obviously they can go to Steam, search for RPG Stories and get it. But if you follow our campaign, the 101 battle maps, in that campaign, we will be giving RPG Stories, a pledge for RPG Stories at a discount. So you can go right away to Steam and get it now. You can wait until the 21st of November to get it through the campaign. We're going to deliver the keys right away. You can do whatever you want, but you can also try to win this GM version in this amazing YouTube channel today, I guess. It's your call.
That's right. I pestered people all evening. I said, listen, if you're here and you normally don't speak up, you just sit back in the chat, you just chill out, you don't say anything, and you want a chance to win RPG Stories. And folks, I don't think a single person out there has said, I don't want this. Everybody seems enthusiastic about it, and you should be. You absolutely should be. I asked you to speak up, and I got your names. I got 23 of you. I see 24 in the chat. I know some folks from your production team are here. So sorry, Lisa, I'm not going to put you on the list of potential people who can win a copy. So, but I have a list of people. James, this is on Steam right now. This is not on Kickstarter. This is on Steam, but there is a Kickstarter component. We'll touch on it again. But so I have 23 of you here in a list, which is a weird number. If it had been 20 or 30, I could have broken out the appropriate dice. So here's what we're going to do. I was going to try and catch you before you close the program, Aggie, but that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the big honkin' 20-sider, and I'm going to roll this. I've got numbers by your names. I'm going to roll this. And if it's 20 or above, we'll use the old additive dice like Gary would have. I'm going to roll this, and basically, face gets the number, gets the prize. You okay with that, Aggie?
I'm fine with it.
All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see who's got a hot hand. This is Michael says, my name's not on the list, Michael. I'm not going to win this. I've already got mine. I already got my software key. So here we go. This is for the win. I'm sorry I don't have a camera for the dice, guys. You know the budget I work on here. But I'm not going to pick it up and then do a re-roll. No cocked dice here. If it falls off the table, I'll go down there and see what it says. So here we go. We have, oh, come on. It actually did cock. Edge right up. We have 18. Who do I have in slot 18? Michael Connor. Congratulations, Michael Connor. There you go. Michael, you've got a key. Aggie, if you wanna shoot me that key, I'll get it over to Michael, and we'll go from go. Okay?
Yeah. Chris, I'm gonna need the key, please. Actually, okay, let me Chris, grab one key myself.
All right.
But she will probably don't want me to mess up with her Excel, so I'll wait for Chris to pass it on me.
Yeah, you don't want to open the Excel screen where everybody can see it.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you're watching this like in a year in the future, don't complain at me about not getting a key. You should have been here tonight.
Yeah.
That's I always tell, like when I first started the Discord, it's I don't know what Discord has against me, but people are like, yeah, hand off the Discord. I'm like, the Discord is in for a year. It was in the show description. Then I had people saying, well, it doesn't work. So I'd go and I'd generate a new key and I'd put it in the chat and I'd say, okay, that should work. And I share that one. Oh, it doesn't work. And I set it to never expire. So people watching a video from a year ago saying, I can't get in your Discord. It says it's permanent. No, I just have to do it.
Discord is pretty weird sometimes. And
it is.
Okay, so I'm going to send you the key.
Okay.
Our private chat here.
Alrighty.
And is the name Mike?
Yeah, Mike or Michael. I'm not sure.
Michael. So I'm gonna also send you our official email if he wants us to email him instruction on how to activate it, because maybe he's not familiar with.
Okay.
So yeah, he can send us his email and we will send everything. But this key is under his name now.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. And I have not gotten that. Did you email it to me or did you send? Oh, you sent it in the backroom chat. Okay.
Yeah. All
right. So I need to copy and save that, because one thing that I really like the chat here. I really like StreamYard, but it does not save previous conversations. And if I lose this number, I'm a dead man. So let me let me copy this information here.
Good time.
And I will get that to Michael Connor, and he will. I'm sure he will absolutely love that. So thank you, everyone, for being here this evening. Let me see. Did he come back around? He has not. But I am going to share this because a couple of people who came in late did ask about the Kickstarter. So this is. There is the link back to the Kickstarter. James Seymour says, "Do I get the good-looking discount?" That's between you and these guys. I can't help you out there, James. I'm a bad judge of what somebody looks like just by text on the screen. So let's see. Yeah, this is awesome stuff. So congratulations again. And what's next? What's coming down the pipeline next, my dude? as far as features or anything for this goes. Not that you haven't already drowned us in features in the best possible.
What we are trying to do right now is to, first of all, our first goal is for the 17th of November, like 7 days from now, to deliver through Steam the player versions. Because right now the multiplayer works, but between GM versions, we want to give that cheaper option for users who don't want to be the DM. That's our first goal. So we're building this, which is fairly easy. I mean, we are almost there. And then until we're going to run this Kickstarter campaign, so we're going to create lots of pre-built environments for the users of RPG Stories. We will deliver the upgraded dice, the upgraded grid. We are also doing a lot of hidden work, which is really usual when it comes to development. So right now we are restructuring the whole UI so that you can resize it if you have like a small screen, quality of life, basically tasks.
Okay.
And keep improving the multiplayer experience, data transfer, things like that, things that people don't see them, but they are a lot of work. By next month, we will start giving more models, especially in the sci-fi era, where we feel we're a little bit behind and we want to start giving. And we have in mind by spring, maybe April, to run a really, really big Kickstarter campaign, suggesting new, really complicated features for RPG Stories and amazing new things for RPG Stories to take it to the next level. A lot more complicated things than the ones we're going to do until then, or the things that the audience asked tonight. So yeah, if everything goes well, we want to do this huge Kickstarter campaign and propose things that I cannot reveal here, but that's the plan, to reach to a point where all the obvious things are there, and then go and propose to our audience and for newcomers as well, the dream, how we want to progress and make RPG Stories the way we want it to be. So surprises are coming. That's all I can.
That's great. And this is amazing. I can tell you right now, just from the feedback in the audience, they seem to love it. I think this is pretty cool. And I mean, the biggest hurdle, I think, in any VTT software is always the UI. It's like you get a feature-rich setting, but you get an awful UI that's terrible to try and navigate. This looks like it stands astride that and has 1 foot in awesome features and 1 foot in ease of use for UI, and that makes me happy. So
pretty straightforward, but we really try, and we make tutorials in our YouTube channel all the time, and in our website we have all the tips and all the hotkeys and everything people can do, which most people don't watch, and then they ask us in a Discord server, and we are always there to reply and answer to questions. So once you get used to it, you can build really fast anything you want. That's true, and we are proud about it.
I do have one more question for you, I promise, and then you can go to sleep. I know it's like 2:30 in the morning where you're at, but anyway, I noticed that early on there's a campaign notes notebook as an option in the UI.
Yeah.
Can you get the Matt's RPG adventure design notes and incorporate those in?
Well,
gotcha.
You got me. Yeah. So when we announced the Fantasy Adventure Builder to our community and that we're working with that was the first question everyone asked. Like, will I be able to use it in RPG Stories? So the short answer is that you can use Fantasy Adventure Builder, and whatever you create with Fantasy Adventure Builder and Matt's amazing tables, you can copy paste them manually to RPG Stories for now.
Okay.
We want to add some of the generators into RPG Stories later on, but it's not the time yet. So there are two different products, two different teams, but at some point we will consider a collaboration.
Okay, excellent. That is not the right thing. Let me see here. Somebody requested the Discord link. Can I share your Discord here?
Yeah, of course. Let me.
Okay, all right. Let me see, because I don't think guests can. I've got to do it. So there is the link that I. If you guys want to check that out. Yes, Carissa, there it is. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic. I'm so stoked about this. I mean, I'm going to be using this right off the bat, and hopefully I can exploit a tenth of what this is capable of for my Monday night group. And seeing what I'm going to be able to print out of this, STL files out into the old chemical disease makers out there. I'm hyped about this from floor to ceiling, and the audience is hyped about this from floor to ceiling. And thank you, all of you guys. I know Risa and Ullagrands and everybody else that's been out there in the chat this evening. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. Any closing thoughts from any of you guys? You have the talking stick. Nope. Okay. All righty. Well, thank you again, Aggie. I really appreciate it. Thank you to our wonderful audience this evening. We'll be back tomorrow night. We're kind of in a sort of a don't really know what's going to happen, because I'm not sure if all the players for Gamma World are going to be here tomorrow night, but we'll make it work. It may just be me talking to you guys, and I'm awesome. So, thank you, Risa. I really appreciate that. So again, go check out Brave Alice Games. Dudes, $40. That's like a pizza and a half. That's a tank of gas. Get this software in your computer and fire up your games. And fellow grognards, let me tell you something. This is not going to turn your 1E or original D&D games or your Tunnels and Trolls games into 5E computer game. All right. Think of it as an excellent set of miniatures and terrain. So with that said, you guys have an absolutely wonderful evening. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to our audience. Love you all. See you tomorrow night. Peace.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me to the show.